Hey y'all, and welcome to our South Georgia garden. Well, actually, this is going to be a little idea that begins in the kitchen before we go out to the garden.
But it's really a gardening tip that begins in the kitchen, isn't it?
It is a good gardening tip. I've been using this tip for several years, and so before we go out and do the actual planting, we're going to do the prep work here in the kitchen. Well, I guess actually the work began when I went to the grocery store, and in the fresh produce area, I found bundles of scallions, and they were about $1.50 for each little clump of just regular scallions. So what I do is, to prepare for my task today, is just go ahead and remove my little holders that are holding everything together. And what we're actually going to do is I'm going to use the tops, yes, actually for a little addition to my salad tonight. But the bottoms I'm going to cut off and have them to plant in my garden. So kind of rinse them just to get any soil off while I'm trying to cut it here. Just use my little cutting board to cut off the scallion, and I let it go up. See the roots, the white, and I go up so I get just a little bit of the green. And then what I'm going to do with those, to keep them fresh till I get out into my garden, because sometimes I have done this maybe a day or an evening before I was going to go into the garden. So just put them in a little container, put a little bit of water in the bottom to keep them fresh, and I will have these to use this evening in my salad. So I hope maybe that will help you with a little tip. And I'm going to show you how I actually plant those. And as I said, sometimes I haven't been able to plant them immediately, so I just kept them in a little bowl of water in the refrigerator. And in a day or two, I would make sure I got them planted. I'll show you some past video of how they look actually growing. And you'll see that we have some clumps out there marked. I think they've been growing about 3 years, haven't they?
Yes, they have. And they're actually quite striking in the garden.
Yes, we've had lots, even people who come and look at our gardens. That's one thing that in the spring that they really comment about is the onions, and they say they don't realize they're onions. They think they're just some fancy alliums that I've purchased, but this is just a little tip of something that you can do, something that most people probably would have just thrown away when they were cooking their scallions, but I think you'll find out that they're beautiful in the garden. So come on out to the garden with us and we'll show you the process.
Hey, Belinda, I see you've got something in your hand getting ready to plant out here in the Bird Girl garden.
Yes, I have my little container of my scallion roots that I cut off from my scallion tops. And I'm going to show you the process of how I plant them. But as you can see, here are some. This is one that I planted last year. And it came back on its own. You can see it's getting ready to bud. And now I'm going to treat these scallions the way I would any ornamental allium. And so I'm not going to cut my stalk off that has the stem with the bud, because that's what's the beauty of this. But you can see they're still very architectural with all of their leaves coming up. So I'm just going to leave all that in place. And these are very simple to plant. We'll show you later how big they can get. And they usually get they can get up to about 3 feet wide. So I'm just going to kind of take my little hand shovel here and take it about 2 widths apart. And I'm just going to pull my mulch back. Don't even need an auger for this, because my little hole is going to be so small. And I'm not even going to put any biotone in this hole, because these onions are just so vigorous that they seem to do well on their own. So I'm just getting a little hole, taking one of my scallions, putting it in my little hole, pulling the soil back up around it, letting a little bit of that green stick out so that I see where it is. I'm going to put a little bit of water in my hole. Firm it in a little bit. Then I'm going to pull just a little bit of this mulch back in to cover that bare soil so that it'll help it retain water better. And it's as simple as that. Just a tiny little hole, just big enough for your root to go in. Leave a little bit of your green showing just so you know where it is, unless you want to mark your plants another way. And I have about 12 of them here, so I'm going to go around, put those kind of along this log to give some architectural interest to this log, and I think they're going to be gorgeous. So Mark, you want to go on around and show them some of the other ones that are coming back, some of them that are even 3 years old, and I'll get to planting here, and then you can come back and show them what we've done.
Sounds good.
Okay, so I've got that first one planted. I'm not quite sure that we were close enough to give you the details. So here I am. Got just my little hole pulled, the soil pulled back with my little hand rake. Just a small hole. Take my little scallion, of course roots down in my hole. And as I said, I'm not even doing biotone because they're so vigorous. Pull my soil up so I can still see my green stem. That helps me to know where it is so I don't step on it. I'm going to put a little bit of water in it. And then I'm going to pull a little bit of my mulch back up around it to kind of make sure that all that soil that got disturbed is covered with mulch. So really, you kind of barely see it there. Mark, you want to get in a little closer so they can see that I planted one here, and one back here. And then there's one kind of by your feet. So I've got them spaced about 2.5, 3 feet apart. And I think they're going to look great up against this big old trunk here.
I think they will. They'll look really good. And here's one that you planted. Was this last year?
Yes, that's another one from last year. And so I didn't do any refertilizing it, didn't do any special treatment to it. We do have some irrigation out here, so it got a little bit of irrigation, but it's coming up beautifully.
Okay.
And then there's one just past our cute little weed there with his little yellow flowers. We'll take care of him later. There's another one, another scallion. And you can see how nice and tall, sculptural they look. And we'll be sure to show you when it blooms.
Nice job. They look good. While Belinda's over there planting the rest of those scallions that she prepped and brought out, I want to show you some of the ones that were planted a few years ago. There's one here, and if I slowly pan around toward Bird Girl, you see another clump. Now that one's probably 2 of them together, but you can really see how they put up their seed heads. And they look so architectural. And then as I pan on around closer to Bird Girl, there's another clump of maybe 3 or 4 there together. And they really add to this garden.
Well, Mark, I see that you're showing everybody our sort of a little clump of the scallions that I had planted on the other side of this log. So I think I'll do that here, just to sort of bring that kind of design on this side. And as I've said, you don't have to be real particular with these little scallions. So I just kind of pulled my mulch back, And I'm going to make just a little indentation into the soil there. Put my scallion in, root down, of course. Go near it, just a few inches apart. Put another one in the soil. Put my soil up around it. I think I'm going to do 3 right here. Kind of match what's on the other side. Okay, pull my soil up around the root. I think since there are 3 there, I'm going to put my mulch back before I water it so I don't disturb them, knock them over. So pulling my soil back in, my mulch back in a little bit to stabilize them. And just water in that whole little area there. Giving them a nice drink of that rainwater we collected. And as I said, you don't really have to be too particular with these. They really want to grow. And another great thing about them, Mark, you're probably smelling them now, that onion smell, that makes them deer resistant. So that's another wonderful thing, because these are planted out in our front area that's not fenced in, and the deer do visit us here, don't they?
And rabbits will leave them alone too.
Yes, yes.
So basically critters don't like them, but they grow nicely here, don't they?
Right, so can you kind of see my 1, 2, 3 scallions here? 1, 2, 3.
Yes.
All
and
right.
those will actually form a clump, just
Yeah.
like the ones on the other side of this log.
Okay.
All right.
I think I've got about half of them done, so I'm going to finish those up.
Well, Belinda, we started today's garden task in the kitchen.
Yeah, that was quite unusual. I said to you, we're going to have to make sure that we tell them this is not a cooking show.
That's true. It's not a cooking show. This is a gardening channel.
Right. But I did have a tip that I wanted to share with you all. I've been doing it for several years, and I don't really know where I got that tip from. But it's
You can just claim ownership.
I'll say I'm going to pass it on along. So the tip, as you saw, was to take just the scallions that you buy from the grocery store, and when you cut off the tops to cook, you save the bottoms with the root and plant it, as I showed you. And many people would have just thrown that away because usually you don't cook that white part down where the root is. So I had tried it a few years ago. I did just a few because I was skeptical, very skeptical. And we kind of really didn't think, how could that little thing kind of survive in our garden? But I guess kind of having been raised by farmers and people and we had done a little bit of vegetable farming. So we know sometimes you use those little sets and you can get a nice crop from them.
Yes, but we didn't realize that they would last year after year after year
No.
once you plant them.
Right, that they'd come back and that they would survive and that they would be as ornamental as they are.
Yes.
Yeah, and that tiny little plant, it gets pretty large. Some of them are about 2.5, 3 feet tall, aren't they?
Yes, I'd say 3 feet tall, some of them. You can sit on the porch and see them out in the garden.
And that beautiful ball flower that they have kind of reminds me of the gladiator alliums that we see people grow. And those bulbs can be pretty expensive. So this was an economical way to use something that you're probably buying anyway. And it's just a neat thing in the garden.
Well, and they've turned out to be so architectural in the garden. They're perennial. They come back for us year after year. And they are attention-getting because people come
Yes.
to the garden and either they know that it's an onion and they recognize it, or they're taken, what is that?
Yeah.
Because it looks so unusual.
It does. It kind of grabs your attention. And unlike some of the alliums that I've heard people say they use, the foliage stays nice. It doesn't be an eyesore during the year. In fact, once the the bloom is gone, sometimes I cut it down. Sometimes I just leave it up drying. It's interesting in the garden.
It is very interesting. So it is really, even though you don't remember where you received that tip, it's a nice tip to pass along.
It is. So maybe just give it a try, just out of your curiosity or a little bit of whimsy, and see how it goes in your garden.
Just find a place and try a few and see if you like it. Maybe you'll be like we are and decide that it's a staple in your garden.
Yeah. Oh, and it is deer resistant, so that's another good thing.
Yes, deer and rabbit resistant. Critters, leave it alone.
They do. So if you've tried it, let us know. Or if you have some other unusual little tips, please let us know about those too. We can maybe share those and try those out.
Onion usual, yes.
Some onion usual
Tips.
ideas and tips. Well, we've got those, the tops that I'll saute tonight to go in our salad. So that's going to be a good benefit to trying it out, isn't it?
Yes, it is. So we're looking forward to that and looking forward to seeing these onions continue to grow in our garden.
Yes, so thank you again for spending some time with us, and we hope you have a lovely day.
And on that, sweetie, let's have some sweet tea.
All right.
Cheers from our South Georgia garden.